All right, so just a quick word about NEEEU. We're, as Mr. said, we're a Berlin-based design studio. We work with emerging technologies. We help all sorts of companies, organizations, and cultural institutions to make the right decisions when it comes to building digital products and services. We're a hybrid team of creatives and technologists and user experience experts building all sorts of really cool prototypes and also final products. We focus on the user experience. We believe that technology is just a tool and that what ultimately matters is people and the connections they can make. And today the demo is going to be about specifically the project that we did in collaboration with Museum 4.0 and the Gemäldegalerie in Berlin. We have brought for you two absolutely authentic paintings from the Gemäldegalerie. That is a lie, but the app is real, and I'm going to start by showing you a few reaction shots from visitors during the long night of the museums, which was the first time we showcased this app publicly.
So I was a little bit apprehensive about using it because I thought it would just be, you know, a little bit of a gimmick, but I found like it was the information was really valid and interesting. And it helped me appreciate it in a different light.
So he said he was afraid it would be a bit of a gimmick. I don't know if that came across, but he thought the information was really valuable. Then we have a few words from one of the curators at the Gemäldegalerie.
Museums have a lot of tasks, and I think what is becoming more and more urgent is this accessibility, not just of the collections themselves, but more of the knowledge that we are creating about these artworks through our research.
And finally,
I think the moment of surprise here is the biggest benefit you can have, and to awake interest in younger people if you have these added features. That's cool from my point of view.
All right, so what are they talking about? Demo time. So I'm going to start our little app, and these are only 2 of 4 paintings that we were activating in the gallery. The way that it works is that we have a few highlights that you can activate on the painting, and if you go and activate one, like this one for example, you get revealed an actual X-ray image of the painting, which shows some interesting features, like the fact that the shelf on the side of the painting was changed. It looks like this now. It's horizontal, but in a previous version of the painting, it was at an angle. And the funny thing is that the book is still in the angle of the original shelf, so that's one funny bit for you. And yeah, some other highlights can be seen. We have
is written on the left side of the wall.
Also audio playing, like traditional audio guide.
No.
I'm going to stop that. Yeah, so that's our first example, and the other one is a bit different. So in the museum, this painting is hung on the wall. You cannot see the back side of it, which also has painted figures on it. If you try to see the back side of it, you will trigger the alarm, so that's not a good idea. But we fixed this by enabling people to actually close this triptych. And it's not just a fun, playful interaction, it's also important because it shows something about this piece, which is the choice of material that is actually revealing something about this artwork. We collaborated closely with the curators to figure out what to say about these pieces, and this is actually how the piece would have been seen most of the time. It would be closed and only open for special occasions and ceremonies. So yeah, those were the demos for a little bit of context for the panel, and now I'm going to hand it over to Elena for your demo.
Here?
Yes. Is it gonna?
Oops, I need the table a little bit closer. It's too far. So can you help me? So, for those who haven't heard of us, the Konzerthaus Berlin is located in the heart of the city. We have a big house with 3 concert halls, an orchestra, and a wide-ranging program with 350 concerts per season. And we have also projects in augmented and virtual reality. in collaboration with the University of Applied Sciences here in Berlin, the HTW. We created the very first virtual quartet in augmented reality, and I would like to show you how it works. I have these 4 play cards. You have to download our augmented reality app, Konzerthaus Plus, for free in the stores. You open it, and then you put it on the cards, and the Konzerthaus Quartet appears. And plays the beginning of Franz Schubert's The Death and the Maiden. So it's a very playful application. You can listen to all the 4 musicians playing together and hear the whole piece, or you can focus on one musician. For example, I take out 3 cards, and you hear only the first violin playing. You can mix them up. Now you hear the cello and the viola. And it's a quite new experience, because in a real concert situation you can't hear only 1 or 2 musicians of a string quartet playing. So the app gives a new experience for classical music and also a better understanding how the musicians interact. And we produced it in different steps. So the first one, the very difficult one, was to have singular audio tracks of the 4 musicians. And for this we recorded in a room without an echo, very special moment for the musicians. And then we did 4 green screen video recordings, and the programmers of the HTW synchronized them for the app. So I brought the cards along. You're welcome to try it out yourself after our panel. Thank you.
Hello.
So I give it.
Thank you very much to both of you. You're going to be sticking around for a little chat. Very cool and exceptionally beautiful. What struck me when I look around the room is just how happy it made everybody. There was lots of smiles. So well done to both of you on creating some fantastic pieces, which we're going to find out more about. I actually have a 3rd speaker who's going to join us, so come up. This is Katharina Fendius from the Staatliche Museums of Berlin. Thank you very much for joining us. And you've worked with Raphael.
Yes, we've worked with Raphael, but I don't think I'm...
Are you on? Are we on? I think we're on.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit then, before we get into the questions and find out more about the applications you both use. How do you guys come to work together?
We have to go 1 step back, because we, the Staatliche Museen, are participating in a nationwide project called Museum 4.0, Museum 4.0, which links 7 cultural institutions nationwide together, and was set up by the German government and Ministry of Culture and Media, and has the goal to research on new technology like RR and VR and 3D modeling. And within that project we try to have a new application, and then we had some data, and based on the data and our needs and our the needs of our audience, we try to give RR a shot. And then we were looking for a design studio, and then
that's where we came in.
Yes.
We had some early conversations,
yes.
And we applied for there was a call for proposals. We applied, we got to the project. What was very interesting in the beginning was getting to meet the curation team at the Gemälde Gallery through Museum 4.0. And we had actually a pretty intense workshopping at the beginning. We took them quite out of their comfort zone. We brought them for a shamanic ritual in the forest, and they very gratefully played along.
Yes.
And yeah, we tried to put everybody in a creative mindset and getting them to think outside of the usual confine of a very traditional environment like the museum.
Yes.
Excellent. So thank you very much for establishing that. We're going to come to Elena first, so just to talk about your application as we saw that last. Absolutely stunning, I have to say. What a fantastic idea. Were you responsible for coming up with the concept behind that and wanting to do something a little bit different? And what were the reasons behind that?
Yeah, so we want to bring music close to the people. This is the real and very principal aim of the Konzerthaus Berlin. And in collaboration with the University of Applied Sciences here in Berlin, the HTW, the Konzerthaus has been developing innovative mediation concepts for classical music since 2014. And so our current 4 years project is funded by the European Union. That's really great. And until 2020, which gives us the opportunity to hire a team for this project. And we're working together with the scientists, the students, and the programmers of the university.
It's really quite different though, isn't it? I mean, you talked us through some of the process, and some of this will be applicable to your projects as well, which we'll get to. The process of taking the musicians to a green screen. I would imagine for different peoples involved in the process, it was, again, as you touched upon, taking them totally out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
What is this going to look like? And that trust element as well must have been really important to all believe in the end product and what it was going to achieve. So how did it turn out as you expected? What were the learnings along the way? How did that all pan out?
Wow, it's a process of trial and error. I think you would say the same. It's not so easy to find out what augmented or virtual reality can bring to mediation of classical music, but we believe that is a big opportunity for us in the cultural sector, because we can create access and curiosity, expand this music experience in a different way, give a change of perspective. For example, like with a quartet, you have never seen it like that. And it's also very important to ensure big participation of as many users as possible, because this is really difficult for us in the cultural sector to have the young target groups, the older target groups at the same time. And so immersive technologies is quite interesting, and yes, it's quite an adventure for our musicians, because playing playback in a green screen studio or doing a recording in a room without an echo, it's it's not what they're doing normally. So but they love this project.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can see why. It's beautiful. What's the reaction been like from people then that have experienced it? Because I think, as you touched upon with your project, it's not something that people would necessarily put together. You know, the classical music and sort of these very futuristic technologies, it's not what you would expect. So how have people responded to it then when they've actually experienced it?
They have loved it. I have to say the string quartet, this virtual string quartet, is part of our digital exhibition concept in the Konzerthaus Berlin. We opened an exhibition in our main entry hall, and we have over 10,000 visitors per month and 15,000 students per season who experience the 4 augmented reality application. We have also other ones, and the virtual reality experience with the whole orchestra. And it's nice to see that also older guests leave really inspired.
Amazing, that's good, because it would be easy to think that, and you can comment on this as well actually, we'll move on to it, but it would be easy to think that it might be younger people that might embrace these technologies, and it might be a little bit sort of an area that older people don't necessarily want to embrace, but you haven't found that.
I don't think so. I think what was really interesting to observe is that though you do have people like the gentleman that I showed in the video who says like, oh yeah, this is very good, it's very good for younger people, but he doesn't think that it's so, I mean, he enjoys it, but he thinks it's for others. So he doesn't realize that he himself can get benefit of it, even though he actually enjoyed it. That's quite interesting. But I was talking before we entered the stage. We had this group of ladies who were, I wouldn't know which age, but they were older. And yeah, they were like obviously friends, and one of them was super into it and like looking around and interacting, and she was really, really into it. And then she tried to pass it to her friend, and the friend was like, "Oh no, I wouldn't know like how to do it." And they were probably the same age, but you know, I think the individual variation is much more, it's much bigger than the variation between. Like, I don't think the age is so important. Maybe just for the beginning, like getting into it, but once they're into it. It just goes very smoothly. It's just a matter of the onboarding has to be designed properly, and you have to really make it look approachable. And I think AR is a very good medium for that.
Absolutely. So what we do in the Konzerthaus, we have volunteer guides on site who help, for example, unexperienced users or older guests to navigate the app. And then they love it, but it's true at the beginning they're a little bit stressed, I don't know what it is, but it helps a lot to have people to explain it.
We had a desk with a specific, like not a painting, poster that we made especially for this so that people could try it out, and we would walk them through it before they go on and use it by themselves in the gallery.
So it's easy to see that people have really enjoyed it, and as I said, just looking around here, the smiles on people's faces, because it's just so unexpected, and that must be really thrilling for all of you who want to get this beautiful work, you know, whatever medium it might be, out to people. So what was it? What were the kind of, obviously you've worked together on a project, what were the ideas behind that? How did it come about, this collaboration, and what was the real kind of push to think we need to do something a little bit different to get people involved in what we're doing?
First of all, we wanted to show something which is hidden. So in galleries, especially art galleries, you don't have much choice because you have the exhibition room and it can't be altered easily. So you have to be really, you have to look for opportunities to add some deeper information, and with augmented reality you can do that. You can show hidden and or not even, you can show information that's not even there, like the X-rays, right? You can add it, and then the visitors will get some more information.
Yeah, that's also what Svea was saying, that there is a constant stream of research that is being done and new information coming up. And how do you update? You can't update the exhibition every 5 minutes when something new comes up. And that's this ability to expand the gallery space beyond what's physically possible to put in the space is a big selling point for AR.
Very exciting. It might, from the outside, though, look like a bit of a clash of cultures. We've got the history of art, and then we've got AR, which is, you know, still not embraced by everybody. It does seem like maybe a little bit futuristic, a bit scary, but having seen what it can do, it's obviously a really good marriage.
I think on by first look, it looks maybe a little bit scary, and Neu and our team had to be really persuasive and a little bit really sensitive with the matter, because it's there are fears that the art wouldn't be shown in its precious way, because it's some people might think, oh, art and techniques, they don't belong together. But I think it's the opposite. If you have an additional value to the art pieces, to the objects, then everybody wins. So, and I think it's kind of a process in between cultural institutions that I speak for museums, that we learn from each other. We learned a lot in that process, and I think museums have to be open for that experience, and yes, I think it was a really great experience.
Yeah, I think one thing that was particularly interesting when we had the workshop, like part of the workshop was a smaller group, but part of the workshop was almost all of the curators at the Gemälde Gallery for only 1 hour because they are busy people.
Yes.
And they came in, and one of them was like, we don't like technology in our museum. No hello,
really?
no welcome.
Yes.
So you met
That was the first
obstacles
response.
as well.
But 1 hour later, they were just, you know,
Yes.
slapping us on the back, saying, oh, that's
Yes.
awesome, let's do
Yes.
something. Because the way that we approach it, specifically at NEEEU, is that we say, okay, we're here to listen, we're not here to impose something.
Yes.
What are you afraid of? What do you hope for the museum? What do you want? And one of the things that comes out all the time is that we don't want the technology to replace the experience. You know, you don't want to have a vicarious experience of the art within the presence of the art itself. And one thing that we have to be very careful of when we use AR, and I suppose that also happens for you, is like you don't want to replace the real life experience. You want to augment it and expand it in the digital sphere, adding something that makes you want to go back to the real thing with an added knowledge that makes you appreciate it more.
It's interesting then, so there was a little bit of fear, I think, wasn't there, what's coming
Absolutely.
through with, and it's common not only in your industries, but I think with any sort of emerging technologies, or that people think it might replace their job, or it might stop people coming into the gallery or appreciating art as it should do, and let's leave things how they are. But I think you've managed to really beautifully capture in both of the projects that it actually is just enhanced. What it's done is it's added another layer, it's not taking anything away. If you want to enjoy it in its, it's an original form, that's absolutely fine. This is just an enhancement, isn't it? Would you agree that's why it's been adopted so well and why people have responded as they have done?
It's part of it. I mean, of course, there is still the hype of it, that you want to have AR because that's the thing to do right now, but I really believe that there is a long-term benefit to it, and we have to be very mindful and do it well and do it respectfully, because the hype is going to pass, but the real advantages of the medium are going to shine through.
I think the point for the curators was that they can show something of their work which couldn't be shown before, like the X-rays. Museums work is a lot about, or most people think museums is just the object and everybody goes to a museum, what are they doing? Because objects are still there. What are they doing on Mondays, right? But the curators were so satisfied, and they were so crazy about this application, and everybody loved it because they can show their work and their mindset about the artwork. So that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, you get to see the artwork like they do, really, through their eyes.
Absolutely. How long does it take then to develop something like the project that you worked on then?
This was a 2-month project, all inclusive, like from the concept phase all the way to delivering a very high fidelity prototype.
It's a prototype.
But yes, it was a prototype deployed over only 4 paintings in the gallery, and with some demonstration of what is possible to get user feedback, and that was really our first phase. We hope to be continuing this in the near future, really. But yeah, we got some really useful insights from it. We had several rounds of prototyping and testing with users in the gallery. That was really privileged to be working in such an amazing environment, obviously. And the visitors were also really, really nice in participating and giving us some really cool insights.
And what about the project, Elena, that you've worked on? How long did it take from the initial ideas stage to actually having the product?
It depends. For example, the virtual quartet, I think it was 6 months from the idea to the application.
Okay, fascinating. So you've obviously seen the benefits. You've had fantastic reactions. Will you be using it again? I'm pretty sure that this is probably now very much on your radar. But if we come to you first, Elena, have you got any more projects in the pipeline? What's your thought process around this? What are you going to do with it in the future? Oh, I can see the twinkle in the eye. Yes, there's more of it.
But the success with the wider public encourages really to continue. So we are working on a new virtual reality tour through the history of the building. We are working on a school project because we tested it in schools already, and school children love this technology for education. That's great. And then a very new exciting project, we will commission a new work of a contemporary composer and a virtual artist to create an interactive composition in augmented reality. So yeah, many projects to come.
You've gotten the bug, haven't you? The AR bug. There'll be many more to come. And what about any more projects that you're going to be working on in your institution?
Yes, of course, because Museum 4.0 is about testing and developing prototypes. So we have some projects in the pipeline, and we are hoping for more. But it has to be chosen really strategically, because what I think what's really important is to say that not every media technology is for every purpose. So that's why we're testing, we are evaluating, and after that maybe we can have the specific additional value for our audiences for all the technologies. So Yes.
What about cost? I mean, these aren't necessarily cheap things to implement, are they? There's a lot of funding out there for cultural institutions to access this sort of new technology and doing things in a different way, or is that a barrier to kind of doing more of it and rolling it out?
Yeah, the Museum 4.0 project is funded by the German government for 3 years. So, but after that, we have to look for new fundings or maybe new projects, and it's. The thing is, cultural institutions, I don't know what's with your cultural institutions, they have to add some new fields of work for the digital engagement for their audience. So we have to really, it's like a change process within the whole institution. And we would love to have really new exclusive projects, but it has to be, chosen strategically. Yeah.
Also, as you said in your introduction, it's getting cheaper, so it's more and more, it's easier and easier for people without too much technical background to build these applications, and that's also a real opportunity for cultural institutions, even on a budget, to build these experiences.
Okay, it's good to hear. We're almost coming to an end, but it'd be really nice to hear, and I think I probably have an idea of what you'll say, but what do you think the future is then for cultural institutions adopting technologies like VR and AR? What do you think it's going to look like in, say, a couple of years? Come to you first.
I hope there's a bright future for the AR technologies for cultural institutions. I prefer AR before VR because I think it's more it's more flexible technology. So, and I think it's going to it will be integrated in our experiences and in our visitor journey. So.
You think we'll see a lot more of it then? Do you spread out across the board? What do you think?
I think technologies won't never replace this live moment in a concert, but we strongly believe that is a very important basis for a contemporary mediation of arts and culture, and also for innovative new projects. And it's in my belief that if we don't jump into these technologies now, culture will be left behind in the digital age. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, it's a really interesting view there. And obviously, as a designer, as a developer, what do you think? What do you think the future is going to be then for cultural institutions? Is it something you think will be adopted quite easily, quite quickly, or how long do you think it's going to take?
I see the opportunity there, neither in the technology or the design or the user interface. These are important, but they're sort of at the periphery. What's really where I see the learning from the project that we had, where we worked so closely and so well with Museum 4.0, is in this approach, like really hand-in-hand approach with the curation team, with the decision makers in cultural institutions, to work closely with designers, closely with developers. We internally at NEEEU are working in a very hybrid fashion between developers and designers and user experience. We all have sort of multiple hats, and we switch several times a day. And we think that bringing the curators, bringing the museum professionals inside of this dynamic is really where the opportunity lies for any kind of emerging technologies to enter the cultural sphere.
Excellent. Well, I think we've just ended on quite a beautiful statement and summary there. Thank you very much for the three of you. I really enjoyed our conversation and also seeing the applications that you brought to life. Well done. You're available to leave the stage now. Will you be talking? Will you be in the speakers? Meet the speaker. Okay, you can speak to all three of our speakers at Meet the Speaker if you want to pick their brains and find out any more about their projects.
And if people want to find out about what NEEEU is doing in the cultural sphere, we have a website. It's get.neeeu with 3 e's.io, and you can go check it out.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.